What's up, guys? Welcome back to the show. We are first going to have a little tune in with spirit messages cards, and I'm just going to do a little brief overview of a couple of what we need to tune into this week for ourselves. So, the first card that came up was memories. That's what the memory card looks like. And memories, it says, your memories are like diamonds in the treasure chest of your spirit. More and more memories are arising within you. Remember the happier moments with your loved ones who are in the spirit world, for neither time nor distance can stop the energy of love that you have for one another. So I love that one. This reminds me of even the memories of like our galactic selves and our galactic lineage and other lives that we have lived. So in the spirit world of now and also in the spirit world of alternate times. Then we have the Just Ask card, which is there are many here in the spirit world that can assist you at this time. We are made up of divine source, your loved ones, friends, guides, angels, and spirit helpers who are waiting to assist you. We are your spiritual team. All you have to do is ask for our help and guidance. I love this reminder because I so frequently forget to like just ask for help and signs and just like use the energies that we have around us, even ourselves. Okay, how can I ask for this to be delivered or to be done or for this to be taken care of? Like we can feel like we're doing everything on our own, but like have we even asked for other outside support with whatever we need right now? And the last card is study. So study says spirit has its own spiritual way of letting you know that it's time to study again. From time to time, it's important to go back and learn, whether that's learning old things in a new way or learning something totally new. This is an opportunity to expand your mind. So maybe something's been on your mind of like picking up a book or a new hobby or activity or a new skill you want to do. And maybe that's your sign to start to study and learn something new. So that's the tune in for the week. I think the conversation today is going to be about endings because I feel so strongly as we've moved through the clicks by now when this is coming out. And even in myself with endings, I mean, it's one of those things that like we so much can like fight and we don't want things to end because we want them to stay the same and we don't want it to things to change, people to change. We don't want to go somewhere new because it's like all unknown and it's like what if this. And anyways, I had this in my thoughts of like, oh, I'm coming to an end being in St. Louis soon, and the ending of me living in this really gorgeous place and loving the apartment, the people that I work with, the place that I'm in, and I just became kind of sad. Like I wanted to like it not to end. Like I wanted to like stretch it out and I wanted to be like, but wait, I don't want it to, but what about like, all the things that I'll miss and stuff. And I was thinking back to like when I had traveled and stuff where like every time I was in a country and I'm like, I'd want to go to the next country. I really didn't want to leave because I was like, oh, I don't want this to end, but my visa's up and I have to go to this next country. Not have to, but like I wanted to, even though it was difficult. And then once I'd get to that new country and like acclimate, I'd be like, oh my God, thank goodness. Like I trusted that leap of that new beginning because I would have missed out on all this experience if I had wanted to just stay in that previous country. And so I had to remind myself of this, of like, that's what it's going to be like now, as like, I'm getting ready to unhook the cords and release the chains and to start to let go of this time and space where I got to live and work and ground in for this last year. And it can feel very unknown and scary but what would I do? Where am I going to go? Where am I going to live? Like, who am I going to be around? It's just this void space. And the void space is where we can create literally anything because anything is possible at that point. It's just all emptiness, it's space, it's truly letting go and making room for other things to be dropped in and for things to be created when we make space, right? So I've just been really thinking about this and letting myself like feel it and grieve it. And now I've come to a place where I'm like, okay, Like we can still enjoy these last like 2 months here, but we can start to unravel those things and let ourselves be also excited about the new thing, this new chapter, new place, new people that you will start to interact with and let come to your field and let it be revealed to you. So we like, in sense of not wanting to be out of control, we can try to plan so far ahead of our life, of how things are going to go, or we want to like logistic, we want to map it all out, or even in how we relate to other people and stuff. It's You kind of lose like the magic of things just being like, it's just going to work out into the best case scenario, and I'm just going to let it be as that and direct the energy, but be open to what it is. So it's like that toggle of directing it to like where you kind of want to head, where you want the energetic momentum to go, but then also releasing like, okay, we don't have to control every little thing. We can let it just be revealed to us. And the next step will be revealed, and then the next, and then the next. Yeah. So I'm in this point to start to kind of release that. And it's an interesting spot, because since I have had so much experience with it, especially with living places, it doesn't mean that it gets any easier. And I even say this as like, I just had like a bit of a relationship and or situationship, or whatever, and that came to an end, and I really had to like assess how I felt about that ending and how the person also perceived that ending. So it's interesting, our relationships to how things end directly relate to our lives and how we experience it, but to others too. And so I had two different scenarios where I had stopped seeing somebody, two people kind of simultaneously. We'll say this just very broad. And one person didn't respond. And then the other person said, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much for being so direct. I appreciate that. Thank you. Maybe our paths will cross again." So it's like these two different responses of like, when things come to an end, like what's your relationship with endings? And then how are we relating to one another with that? So I had these experiences like literally within a day of each other. And I was like, huh, interesting. And also taking into account of like how I felt with things ending, and how I was closing the energies and cutting the cords and giving space and time for myself to just like be in that, and let myself feel whatever I needed to feel, and really go into it. And there's a book that I'm reading called The Codes of Divine Love by Christina, the channel. It's all about like the love frequency and how we're like relating to people differently in the frequency of love. And I really like the way the channel text comes across, where it talks about like ending something. If you feel like it's an ending for you, if the contract feels complete, or the situation, or the scenario, the job, or whatever, it feels complete for you, but you're like, you don't want to bother the boss or the other person, or you feel guilty about leaving, or whatever is in your highest alignment is directly related to like that person or thing's highest alignment. So if you choose to stay in something that doesn't feel aligned for you, you're also blocking what's aligned for them. And that was like a shift when I was reading that. It was like, oh, holy shit. Like that gives me a lot of perspective, where I'm like, wow, actually doing the things that is best in your alignment, in your truth, in your authentic self, like is best for everybody and everyone around. And like the more that we can kind of get into that, the more that we can have those relationships and connections and shift as we need to, right? So I was reading that and I was reflecting, and it was like, okay, so we have that. I'm releasing things that don't longer feel aligned. I'm seeing how I feel about that ending, how I feel about this job ending. And I talked about this in like one of my podcasts, the Jump Spot, of how you can kind of create this energetic momentum when you just set the intention in this space. And so I have continued to set that momentum and energy towards what I do want to create and where I'd want the energy to go. And sometimes we just have to kind of sit back and just like let those seeds be planted, and just know that like our intentions are set, and we are living in a very dense world. So sometimes it takes some time. But yeah, endings. So I want you to like think about how you relate to endings. And if you are in something, in a relationship or in a job or living in a place, like what is it? It doesn't feel threatening at all to be like, okay, maybe this isn't forever, or maybe this isn't long term. Maybe this will just serve me until however long we're supposed to be served for. And I think this is also when we fight these endings, then more things go wrong in the places or the people or the job, or it's like forcing us to get out of this situation, or place, job, whatever you're in. And so the more that I like tuned in to be like, okay, I feel like this is complete, but do I offer this in an excuse to be like, oh, well, I'm moving, or I just like X, Y, and Z is because, or do I just straight up say like, this just doesn't feel right for me anymore? And that's what I chose to do. And I had watched this series, what's it called? Love on the Spectrum. There's like 2 seasons out, and I like I've watched these episodes over and over, but I was inspired by them of like how direct and like real they were with how they were feeling and how they would relate to one another, to be like, this is complete for me. I'll be your friend, but like I don't want to date anymore. And I was like, man, I want to do that more in my dating life or in my life in general as I relate to people, of just like not really sugarcoating, thinking in a way where like you're trying to like save the other person's feelings or like coat what actually you're trying to say, or it's like you're making excuses for whatever reason behind it. And actually just like, what if we just like got in there and just told the person exactly how we felt, or like the exact reason, or to be like, yeah, I just don't want to go. Yeah, it's just like being that more upfront, direct, and honest. So I've been kind of pulling that into my own experience after watching that show, because I was like, if they can do that. And the other person who was like, yeah, okay, yeah, sure, we'll be friends, or no, I don't really want to do that. And I've done that the last couple of times that I've interacted with people, and it's been really refreshing because it's been more well received than not. Yeah, I think that just goes back to like how we experience endings, and if we're comfortable within it. And the more that we're comfortable with it, the more that we're then comfortable with like the new beginnings, the new step, the newness, bringing in that fresh wave of fresh air that is going to revive our lives. Like it's time for the new. Like we don't need, the less we hold on to this, the more we're able to open this, right? Like when we're allowing the doors to close, we also allow the other door to open. So in this relationship, I was just experiencing this directly in my dating life, which is, a very strong lesson to be learned. I guess the most like, it's like the portal of my life right now that is like showing me the most, because I feel like I've got a lot of energy there and a lot of movement of like, okay, testing out like, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, or this is more of I want this or more of I want that. And I'm kind of like in this focus of like being in a space where I can be like, okay, this is the relationship that I would love to have. And so you have to kind of experiment with what you like, what you don't like, just the same as food, or even in your expression of yourself. And even within my own self-expression, you're like, okay, tried this hair color, I tried this haircut, I tried these clothes. Okay, that expression doesn't really feel like me. That was me for a little bit, but now it's not. And so this section of my life, like dating in specific, is like a very huge like growth portal for me. And there's just a lot that I've learned this past year, in this recent year of dating, with a new lens of like partnership, or like my goal is for partnership. And my previous goal for many years for dating was just to like have fun, let it flow, not, it just was a whole different intention and energy behind like why and who and what I wanted out of like dating. And so this has like been a whole new energy I've been bringing it to it. So like this point in time is like, yeah, I've just had like a lot of fast growth within this section. And that can happen in any parts of our life. Sometimes it's work or in friendship. I also had a lot happen in friendship this last year. So I've just, as like this year in St. Louis is like starting to kind of come to an end. It's like I'm reflecting on this year as like my New Year's almost, to be like, oh, like, you know how you like think back to your New Year's resolutions and or your previous year of like what you've done. And now that like I'm nearly going to come up on a year in St. Louis, I've like been having that like ending feeling. It's like reflecting, like, what did I learn? What did I embrace? Who am I more of? What do I want to do more? Who, all of those like feelings. Sometimes we have these like, if this is happening in some way in your life now, where like there's like a new chapter, a new phase that's coming in or that wants to come in, like let yourself do some of those like ending ceremonies, those like New Year's like closing and like new, not resolutions, but like new intention settings. Like if those are coming up for you to do, that's been feeling really strong for me to do in the next like month. I might be doing it more in like May. Maybe I'll do like a workshop about that. But yeah, so that's kind of the themes that are coming through that might be correlating with you. So I hope this helps. If you are watching, feel free to like and subscribe. If you're listening, you could also subscribe, send me a comment or a review, a rating if you're enjoying this episode or this show. I'd greatly, greatly appreciate it to just continue to grow. And I hope you have a good rest of your day. And remember to be alien and stay weird, my friends.